Good morning. Good morning and good morning. I always have a laugh for y'all. This morning, my laugh is that I decided last night I had a little spot on my chin, and it was from I tried some new moisturizer, and it kind of broke me out in that spot. So I thought I was going to work on it, and my work my work included me trying hydrogen peroxide. Don't do it. Okay. Well, it made it look like it had gone, it was blowing up on my face. So I finally calmed it down and went to sleep and got up this morning. I said, well, it looks a little bit better, but don't do it. That's all I can say. Anyway, good morning again. How you doing? I'm gonna wait and let some folks come on in. I am ready for the day. I have busy today, not as busy as I have been, but I'm looking forward to tonight. I have Bible study, so I'm going to go to that at our church. And another friend of mine, I celebrated a friend's birthday yesterday, and I have another one today, so I'm going to do that. So I'm just busy, just out and about, trying to live my life. And life is good. I don't have any complaints. Thank goodness my health is good. I'm hearing from my family; they seem to be doing well as they can up in New York or wherever they are, California. So I'm at peace. I'm at peace. Um, Today's word is an interesting word because it was once used way back in the 1800s, and then it got popular and not so popular. Well, it's starting to get some popularity to it again, and it's an interesting word. It's called sabriquet, sabriquet, SOBRIQUET, sabriquet. um so it's interesting because it has more to do with a nickname. How many of us have nicknames? I have a nickname. I have several nicknames. One of my nicknames is called Winnie, Dr. Winnie. Some call me Sandy Mandy, Sandy Bandy. I just have so many, so many different names, and then they're all personalized because that's what it is. We have a tendency to just realize that people call you what they feel you would be comfortable with. Now, sometimes we can be called out of our name, meaning that it shouldn't be that we have that connotation tied to our names, but sometimes names that are given to us can be nasty, they may be funny, um, they may be names of anger or frustration, but they're going to come up with a reason why they should call you what they call you. You may not even know some of the nicknames people call you. You know, we used to have a gentleman I worked with, and he had bad breath, and we could hardly get to having a discussion with him in our meetings, and especially closeness when he came to your office, so you went to his, and we would just say breath. We never said bad. We didn't identify it, but everybody understood that, but he didn't, he never could, I guess, smell it. And because he never smelled it, he didn't know what he had. So anyway, I found a couple of poems this morning that speak to the whole concept of nicknames. And it says, names, sometimes they're prompted for when you're doing poetry. And so I found it on this site called teachlivingpoets.com, written in 2018, 553. It's called The Names and Name Poems. It says, name poems you've been given yourself. Mispronunciation of your name, may end up being where somebody can't pronounce your name. So they give it another name, because they can't say your name. Good morning, Miss Rosie. How are you? This morning we're talking about names that somebody may be calling us. And a lot of times it's nicknames. So they're generally, when you talk about a nickname, it's more friendly than foey. It's a friendly concept. It's not negative. So the the poem I'm reading, it talks about mispronunciations of your name, if it applies, family names that are important to you, people you were named after, pet names you've been given, pet names you've given, and what you can call your close friends. Now, some close friends, they want you to call them the nickname that everybody has for you. And other times they want you to call them specifically by their entire name, the whole name. So if it's Sandra, it would be Sandra. That's it. Don't call them Sandy. Don't call them anything else but what they are. Good morning, Cheryl. How are you? Good to have you in the space. Hey, Cardi. Today, our word is and I'm going to spell it for you. SOB. So SOBRIQUE. Okay, you can whatever way you feel comfortable. Sobriquet, and it means basically that it's a person's nickname. Cheryl, do you and Carney have nicknames for each other? If you do, Miss Rosie, do you have a nickname? Put it in the thread. I want to know the nicknames that you've been given. As I said, I have so many. Some I answer to, some I just laugh with, and still that's my response to them. I answer. And then I found this poem while you're putting your nicknames in there, if you have some. It says, "What's in a name?" And this poem is written by um, Shabana Gomes. Shabana Gomes. And it says, what's in a name? Knitted in a document of names, the journey begins. Of what do you see the traits begin, or how? How does the trail reveal its roots? A name stands to gain footage on scrolls. Like a mushrooming tree, it gains its foothold, a surname likened to a family. The name that capitulates the flames of identity, to know the branches that hold infirmity. It says of royalties and commoners, a genial contrast to the unbeknownst, a continuing identity. Good morning, Gloria. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, how you doing? Glowworm when I was younger. Okay. Sass for Cheryl and Slim for Carney. Those are good. Those are good. Some people at home used to call me Gary, just like our last name, Gary, because we all kind of looked alike, and so they just called us by our last name. Other people called me Singer, whatever. So over the years, you will find that you have not just one name, you have multiple names based on multiple persons giving you their own identity for themselves. It also says for the rest of the poem, it says the outcome of ingenuity from the days of yore, and hence the question, what is in a name? It says the very essence of indestructibility is in a name. Indestructibility, meaning it's yours, it belongs to you, and you realize it that through the years. In fact, when sometimes people tell me their real names, I said, I never heard that name before. And they said, oh, that was my birth name. That was the name I was given at birth. But through the years, I go by my middle name, or I go by, a name I just wanted. Like my aunt Pat, her real name was Gertrude. But if you called her Gertrude, she barely answered. She signed Gertrude, but her real name, she never really acknowledged. She went by Pat. She just thought Pat was her name. And everybody else did too. After a while, you realize that you associate names with whomever they are, whatever they may do. It says family nickname with the Coonbirds. Okay, Coonbugs. Okay. Our last name was Coon. Pretty cool. Yeah, that is. That is really cool. Yeah, you find that nicknames make it fun, you know. Like when we had a June bug that lived up the street. We don't even know what his other name was. We had Junior, we had Little Missy. We had just names, that people gave other people as a sign. And a lot of times it's a sign of love. I feel it's a sign of love and care when somebody gives you a nickname. That means you've kind of been adopted or endorsed or welcomed. You're part of that that love. you know so I'm good with names. You can call me. I answer all of them. um I answer all of them as long as they're not bad. So our word today is sobriquet, and it says it's a person's nickname, often shortened version of the person's given name. Like if it's Sandra, they make some people call me Sandy. Okay, so you could have a shortened version of your name. It says if someone calls you Mac because you love mac and cheese, you not only have a strange diet. It says I got this off of the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. It says the sobriquet and the nickname is what you were given, meaning that the diet was one thing, but the sobriquet is the other thing that you ended up with. And it says basically they're giving you your name to identify you with what you like, what you may enjoy. And that's how it's given. It says, so you're given in the synonyms of that says that it's by your name. It may be, your nickname, your moniker. It says it could be your application, how what it is that you may be doing. Could be your work history. It says it could be your denomination, your designation, but it's all under the thing that the word originally came out. It came out as almost like a cute thing under the chin. Hey, gotcha. I gotcha with this name. And so that's how it originated back. And I think it was originally used in the 1800s, so it's starting to make its little, outcome again. Now, the other way they have the word, so when I break it down, it says sour, S-O, sour, souriquet. So souriquet is another one. It's souriquet, and that's a descriptive name, or an epithet, nickname, a less common variant of sobriquet, a nickname, epithet, and moniker. So all those kind of come together where it's utilized just for the person that it's a nickname. It's not meant to change who the person is. It just gives some, I would say, more familiar identity, closer identity, because you know a little bit more about the person. My O in sobriquet is for occasion. A lot of times we are associated, there's a reason and a cause as to why we, forever will have certain names, and I just remember, my brother Bob was a junior, so we called him Junior. Okay. Or others called him Bobby instead of Bob or Robert, which his real name was. So there you go. That's another way that shows that people give you an occasion. And because I had a brother named, his name was James, but everybody called him Hills Bills because we lived on a hill and he always had money. So they called him Hills Bills, So that's the funniness. It's almost like it's creative happiness. Sometimes they're negative too, but I remember the happy ones. So the occasion for my brother was the fact of where he lived, what he kind of always did. We never knew what he really did. Okay, I don't know. But anyway, the occasion talks about it being the reason, the cause, the justification as to why they may have done it, the excuse. Sometimes it is a necessity. Some people have really, really long names. Like I had a couple of people that had extremely long names. So we would always mess their name up. So they just would break it down. Just call me whatever, this. And they'd break it down to 2-3 letters that no one could mess up. The occasion would talk about the motives or why we end up calling people their names differently than what their birth name may be. And then it might be the provocation. It's like, did you see all that food? Bottomless. We had one little person we always call him Bottomless Pit, or Now you can refer to people that eat a lot. What do you call them? Mikeys? From that's okay. Don't worry about it. You don't have to eat it. Give it to Mikey. Well, same concept. And then it talks about motive, and then it talks about it being the pretext. The pretext. When we move on in our word of sobriquet, we talk about it being by name. By name, Byname. A sobriquet is or nickname, especially one given to a distinguished people, to distinguish people with the same given name. So it might be, Mr., and then it might be a form of what Mr's name underneath. If it's a junior, then they might move it to junior. Good morning, Reeve Reese, Cup, Big Mo. I know you only as Big Mo. I know you as Big Mo, but you have Cup and Big Mo, Reese and Reese. Okay, Reese and Reese. All right, all right. I love those names. I love them, especially Big Mo. You fit that. That's you. If I want something, I know Big Mo is gonna have it. All right. By name, it also talks about it being, the moniker, the nickname, the sobriquet, and then it also does an appellation, the appellative, the denomination, and the designation. Do you know that these names are similar to the ones I already read? That's because they're interchangeable. Some people may say sobriquet, and the other people may say sobriquet. So either way, it's the same. Still a nickname. Good morning, Polly. How are you? Good to have you in this space. Do you have a nickname? If you have a nickname, put it up in there. We're just doing nicknames today from sobriquet, which means nickname. And it says the reason we end up getting them. That's my R of sobriquet. It says the reason and the cause and the explanation. We justify why we have that connection to someone that we could call them by their nickname and they would answer, because most of the time nicknames are not offensive. They're not meant to be offensive. Most of the time a nickname is just a derivative of a person's name, or it's something associated with what they do, as I said, what they eat, where they go, what they like. Like I call myself a jazz head, because after church on Sunday, I may play a few pieces of gospel. After that, it's on. After that, I'm sorry, I want to hear jazz. It's the music I grew up on. Sunday was absolutely, we were going to listen to church music, but Monday, no. So they just call you Polly. Okay, Polly. All right. That's good. So they don't mess with your name. They don't mess with it. They mess with mine. I may be called anything, as I said. So when we talk about the reason, we talk about the cause, the grounds, the basis, the motive, the purpose. Let's face it. Some people remember you from your childhood and they never let it go. They never do. It's always systematically through everything. Government name. Oh, okay. Genodra. Okay. Gotcha. Wow. So Polly is your nickname. I love it, Polly. I do. Because it's a cute name. To me, it has, just like a huggableness to it. It's a sweet name. I love Polly. But government name is Genodra. Wow. Wow. Sometimes you don't even know, because government names mess folks up. A couple of girlfriends I had, no one could pronounce their names. So they just gave themselves other names. Say, this is what I want you to call me. And it works. So when we talk about the reason, we talk about the aim, the intention, the excuse, the rationalization. And most of the time, I think nicknames they're generic to how you feel. They're also common in what people have associated you with. And so it's not a big deal. It's what you want to be called or what you will answer to. Because sometimes we like this. The other thing, when we move on in our word of SOBRIQUET, we talk about it being idiosyncratic. Idiosyncratic means pertaining to the nature of the idiosyncrasy, meaning is it peculiar? is it this person? Is it just to them? So therefore, it comes up because every time we see them, we can remember them. Oh, so it's G Nodra. G Nodra. Gotcha. So it's not Nod, it's Nodra. Gotcha. Okay. So the idiosyncratic talks about it being characteristic, distinctive, individual. Is this not true? If you have a nickname, Nod, Janadra. Got it. You know what? And see, that's why I understand you moving to poly, because people probably messed your name up, did they not? They probably did. I know we have a couple of folks in our family that had a few names that we couldn't yes, that we couldn't get the names right because they were peculiar. Like my grandmother's name was Arizona. Well, most people would balk at the fact that she was named after a state. My grandmother wasn't from Arizona, hadn't been to Arizona, nothing about Arizona, so we don't know who named her. But we called her Ari, Ari. That's how we got through with her name. Because some of the kids wanted to fuss with us about my grandmother's name being Arizona. My mother's name was Lily. We called her Lily Mae for years until she got her birth certificate and found out that the Mae was just added. And she never liked it. She never liked her name. So when finally she got her birth certificate, she said, "Call me Lily. That's it. Don't call me no Mae. It's just Lily." Or they would call her Lila Mae. And Lila Mae wasn't even her name. Her name on her birth certificate was not Lila. It was Lily, Lillie, named after her grandmother, which was Lily White. So I don't know how they got all twisted around on the name, but there you go. We move on in our word of SOBRIQUET. We talk about it being real, a real situation, real. It is what it is. We can't change it. Sometimes our names cause us to be deliberate in how we may respond to people, especially if they say our names wrong. My last name is Winborn, but most of the time, unless they know me, they put a D in it. Windborne. So I said, well, that would be Winborn. Remember Mrs. Wiggins? Okay. That's what it always reminded me of. I said, well, that's not right. That's not my name. But after a while, I just stopped correcting them. I didn't. It just was too much. So now most people will call me Winborn, but when they spell it out, it's going to have a D in it. Or they'll spell it Winbourne and not Borne. So, people they're not meant to be mean. Sometimes they just don't know how to spell or where the name came from. If it's English, if it's French, if it's Spanish origin, they don't know. So therefore, where do you put the emphasis in the name? Do you put it at the beginning, the middle, or the end? And sometimes we just don't know. And we end up doing whatever. So when we move on in our name, we talk about things being quirky. Let's face it, if you have a name that has some fun to it, that is very frustrating. Okay, you know that. Yes, you do. Willie Is it Willie Mae or Willamay? Because sometimes they drop an A and there's no A in there. But I think it's Willie Mae. But we call Willie Mae. We just call her May. We don't call her Willie, And a lot of times we children have been named after somebody in our family. And so the name stays in the family lineage. And so we end up with whoever, whatever. Like especially if somebody wanted a boy and a girl comes, they still give them the boy's name and they add some feminine ending on it. And so it ends up that you end up with two names that have really been drawn together. Yes. So when we look at quirky, it says that means that it's odd. Sometimes we end up with odd names, or we end up with people treating us differently in terms of trying to pronounce our names. And they get frustrated. We get frustrated with them. So yes, 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 May. We really do. And it says sometimes they're off the wall. They can be peculiar. They can be strange. The names can be unconventional, unusual, wacky, and weird. Am I right? Yes. Just knowing that they will mess up your name if they don't know it. Okay. My you says that it's our names sometimes are unique just to us. They may be unique to the family, they may be unique to a person, they may be unique to whatever it is that you do. And as I said, or sometimes what you eat, having that whole thing that what I read from the poem earlier, if somebody calls you Mac, that's because you not necessarily your name isn't Mac, but you like mac and cheese. So that's where they get those kind of names from. They associate. There it is. That's a good word. They associate. So it also says quirky talks about being unconventional, unusual, the wackiness, and then we talk about it going to unique. That's my you in my today's discussion is being a very one kind of thing, unlike anything else, unique. All of us are unique in how we act, talk, walk, carry on. Okay, we're unique in that respect. Our names are unique to us. Now, if we have a name that's easy to be stated, then okay, Sue is Sue. But sometimes we may have a really difficult name. Like my niece goes to, I think it's Baisha Bay. I think it's Baisha Bay. That's been her nickname for years. I call her Rhonda because most of the time we laugh about it because I messed the name up. But I think it's Baisha Bay. Don't know if I mess it up too often. She said, "Yes, Auntie." She just says, "Yes, Auntie." It is what it is. But the name is unique to her. Nobody else is using that name. So when we have things that are unique, we also talk about them being quirky, isolated, and exclusive. That's theirs. They own that. It's their. Sometimes it's just what we like. I like being Sandy. I like being Doc. I like being Dr. Winnie. As I said, I'm okay. Windborn. It doesn't degrade or take away from me. Now, if somebody's using some negative words before they say that word, I might have a problem with that. Okay, I might have a problem. When I move on in our word of SOBRIQUET, I talk about it being the epithet, which is EPITHET, epithet. It says an adjective or descriptive phrase expressing a quality, characteristic of a person or thing mentioned. There it is. Make understanding that that's not just their nickname, but it's their by name, it's their title, it's their name. Like we may call people that are running, huge committees, madam chair, you know, minister of music, master of ceremony. We might give them a title before the name comes, and that's okay. When somebody's running, they may be the host. Our host is blah blah blah. So they're giving you some description, and it says that that's what an epithet is. It's a tag. We're going to tag somebody on with information. I was named after my dad. I figured without asking, but thank you. I figured that you were. Well, all of us, the last four of us are Gary, Gary. So I'm Sandra Gary. Then it was Tommy Gary, Ronnie Gary, Shirley Gary, all with Lee in the middle. Actually, Shirley was Ann. My mother must have had an issue with Shirley Ann, but Shirley was Ann, and the rest of us are all Lees. So my dad must have put his foot down and said, "Look, we need that Lee up in there." So if I wrote out my total name, it would be Sandra Lee Gary Winborn. But I dropped the Lee because it was just too many. I wanted people from New York to be able to still be able to find me through my social media if I put Gary in there, because it will at least show up. So the epithet is the nickname, the by name, the title, the name, the label, the handle, the descriptive tag that we give people, their identification. As I said, sometimes we're identified by, oh, the cook, Johnson, Johnson, the cook. So, after a while, you may see him say, cook. They just call him by his profession. It says it's a characterization, and it says it's also an appellation and a denomination. So we get names from people that know us, love us, and sometimes we get names that we don't deserve. I'm going to be honest with you. We get names from other people for whatever the craziness goes on in the world. But it might just be that that's how they think. I was Rosie. Rosie Lee. Okay, Rosie Lee. Wow. Well, did you keep Lee after you got married? Because some people drop the middle name and they make their last name their middle name. Did any of you all do that? Where you dropped a portion of your name? And I had a friend who was married several times, and she kept all those names because she wanted to let people know that she was the marrying kind, I think is what she told me one time. But anyway, so you just have names, and names. You just add them. The T, I did the E. The T, I'm at the last one. The T for our word, SOBRIQUET, is tag. We are tagged, all of us. Oh no, okay. We are tagged, and says a tag is a label attached to someone or something for the purpose of identification, to give other information. So that means we're labeled. We're labeled by our last name. We're part of that family. Like they will always say, whenever I've been in big meetings and they hear a name, and they say, "Ooh, Williams. Oh, are you related to the Williams on Johnson Street?" Okay. And then they start the conversation. And a lot of times they are connected, but they may be distant relatives, but connected. Because sometimes through our name, we can figure out what the lineage is. I haven't met many Garys. I haven't, me personally. But I always wonder, am I related to Willie Gary, the lawyer? And I haven't, I don't know if he came from the part of Alabama where my father was from, which was Eufaula. Never been to Eufaula, but my plan one day is to go to Eufaula and go through their court records to see if I can find because I think it's in Barber County, to find more information about my dad. I can't go back that far because when my father was born, he was a Gary but they weren't married. So the mother remarried and she married a Williams, but my father's name remained Gary. So we were kind of cut off as to whom else we could look to for that name. But I always wonder, one of these days I'm going to write him and say, could we be related? I don't know. Maybe I'll get 5 minutes of court time. I'm not sure. But anyway, the tags that we are given are called labels or tickets or badges, markers or mark, a docket, a tally, a ticker, a sticker, a flag, a stub, a stamp, and a foil. So when we think about just the word of somebody giving you a nickname, most instances it's for fun. It's for love. It's for kindness. It's not meant to be derogatory. Every once in a while, like in the political climate, you do hear a lot of name calling. And I find that to be disheartening because it's just unnecessary. We have so many other words we can use for kindness, for love. And even if you don't like someone, I know my mother and father told us, even if you don't like it, don't say nothing. You don't have nothing to say. Nothing. Hello, goodbye. That's good. You greeted hello and you said goodbye. Sayonara. So anyway, that's the way life is, that then when you look at the whole word, and as I said, it's starting to have a resurfacing, look like it's been coming back in the 2020s, this word, SOBRIQUET, which means nickname. So you can add it to your list of new words that you're learning, and I hope you're keeping a list of some of the things that we've been adding this time out, because there are a lot of new words that have been added to the dictionaries, Oxford, Cambridge. I use Merriam. I use them all. I use them all. Anything is out there. And then I cross-reference to see what each of them say, what words do they use, just so that I can come out and act like I know 5 minutes more of what I need to know. But anyway, I want you all to have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me today on our word for today. And I'll be back on Friday or Monday. I think I'm going to do it Friday, because Saturday is the local walk for breast cancer. So I think I'm going to do it Friday. I'm going to do a session on breast cancer. And I hope you all will tune in. It won't be it'll be some of this format, but it'll also be just information getting from people on who's experienced it, what it's been to, what diseases are related to it, that kind of thing. Going out and getting your mammograms, ladies, and if you're married, encouraging your wife to do so, because they've dropped the age now to 40. It's no longer waiting until you're much older to get mammograms. They're realizing that kind of cancer sometimes can strike young people as well as those who are more on in years. But anyway, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you on Friday. Love you guys. Hit the share button and let it be shared, okay? Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.